Good morning. Welcome to this edition of the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show. You would think, because I have the opportunity to talk 4 hours a day, 5 days a week on KDKA radio, that there just would be nothing left to talk about. Nah, that's not the case. One of my favorite guests, Lou Ransom, is here. And what I like about Lou is we can talk about all kinds of stuff. So I want to just dive right in because this past week, we saw the 1-year anniversary of the killing of 18-year-old Antwon Rose II. And one of the questions that I had on my mind was, we saw the protest, we saw the trial, but a year later, what's really changed?
Well, nothing's really changed. The good thing is that County Council is now trying to push to at least come up with some kind of citizens review board for the county. It's difficult because you have so many different municipalities in the county, and they all have their own police force. So everybody has a different standard for how they do things. If we can get some uniform standards and some uniform rules and regulations for all those different police departments, we might be able to get some kind of movement in terms of not allowing that kind of thing to happen and setting standards for who gets hired on the police force. You know, and it's difficult to do because there are so many different kinds of things happening, but it's not to say that the protests were not fruitful. They did bring some awareness to some things, and sometimes you just have to live with that. It didn't have anything.
Didn't change the outcome.
Didn't change the outcome. There's civil suits, but it's disheartening when you think that a year later a teenage boy was shot in the back and killed, and it seems like nothing happened. But things are happening, and people are at least looking and saying, these are where we need to attack this problem. And so they're focusing on different kinds of things. And I think there will be some things that come out of it.
So I had an opportunity this past week to interview DeWitt Walton to talk about this countywide citizen review board. And one of the things he said to me was, there's some speed bumps on county council.
You're right.
He's not sure if everybody on county council is on board with this. And that made me then think about this past election, the May primary. Our turnout was abysmal. And I don't understand, Lou, why in 2019 people don't take voting seriously enough.
This is a different kind of municipality. And it's not just Pittsburgh. It's Allegheny County, and it's the 3-4 county region. We're not progressive. This is not a progressive place. This is a place that went for Trump. You know, so that's the mentality and the mindset. There are going to be speed bumps on county council. He's going to have. There are a lot of things that are entrenched here. Those 88 municipalities don't want to give up their autonomy.
Right.
And so they're going to fight against it, and they're asking their county council representatives to fight against that. They don't want to be told what to do by somebody else, and it's going to be difficult for him to get that through. You know, so I think that I applaud DeWitt for pushing it, but
it's going to be tough.
But
then, at the same time, if people went out and voted, and they voted for people that shared their beliefs, you can make a change. You can make change that way. You're looking skeptical.
I certainly think that the vote is important, and we should all go out and vote. I think that the numbers in Allegheny County and in Western Pennsylvania simply don't allow that to happen. It's not going to.
Even though the Democrats far outweigh the Republicans?
Just because they're Democrats don't mean the people that they were trying to vote out were Democrats.
Okay.
You know, so it's not a partisan thing. It's It's what's entrenched, and what's entrenched doesn't care what whether it's GOP or Democrat.
So we're talking about politics. I'm just gonna keep right on going, because technically the president announced his campaign run again this past week. To me, it seemed like it was he probably could have just taken out a script if he actually read scripts.
Right.
He could have taken out a script from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when he was on the campaign trail. So we have the president, possibly one Republican challenger. I'm not positive about that. And then we got 20-some Democrats vying for the presidency.
I think it's 23, and it might
Okay.
it might even be 24.
It could be 24 by now,
It's
yeah.
23. Everybody thinks that they can do it. Everybody thinks that, and it's not a bad place to be in the race, because it raises your profile. So when you want to run for senator or governor or something like that, you've already proven that you can get votes somewhere else.
Okay, people know your name.
Yeah, and so that works out, and some of them have some very, very strong ideas and some plans. They're not going to. The bad thing was that Barack Obama got elected, and the notion was that Barack Obama came out of nowhere. And if you can come out of nowhere, why can't I come out of nowhere? Barack Obama was a state rep, and then he ran in a race that was pretty much given to him. Won for a senator in Chicago, and then that catapulted him to the presidency. Some of these people don't have as far to jump. Some have much further to jump. If you're going from mayor of Bloomington, then I don't know how you make that jump and say, I was the mayor of a small city. And you say, I can be president of the United States, and then the bar is lowered because you have Donald Trump, who never won any elected office, and he's the president of the United States.
The president. So it has changed the dynamic. I want to follow up on something you said, but we got to take a commercial break, so we'll do that and come back in just a minute. Don't go away. We got a lot more to talk about. Let's see, if I was on the radio.
The Lynn Hayes Freeland Show is sponsored by Dollar Bank, providing mortgages for mothers with less than perfect credit.